In 2012, 𝗪𝗀 disappeared from a quiet Illinois town. She left behind no noise and no struggle. She simply ceased to occupy space. Detectives found zero forensic inputs. There were no digital footprints, no lingering physical evidence, and no witnesses to provide a point of origin for the investigation. When an investigation produces no new external data, it enters the cold case protocol. The file is effectively frozen in time, isolated from the active resources of the department. In this stage of investigative logic, the mystery concludes when the file is boxed. The victim is no longer a person to be found, but a static record in a cardboard box. Most police archives are designed as physical dead ends. They are secure, controlled environments located deep within the precinct, intentionally cut off from the public sphere. This environment operates as a closed system. Without a deliberate, authorized human action, the data inside these boxes cannot change, move, or update. 𝗪𝗀's 2012 file, marked Unsolved, was placed within this system and left to sit undisturbed for 7 years. Over that 7-year span, the archive's security protocols and restricted access made it a mathematical impossibility for new documents to enter the folder without a formal record. If the archive is a true closed system, any physical change to that file suggests a breach of the fundamental rules governing the precinct. In 2019, a night shift officer was working through records in a nearly empty building. It was long after the administrative staff had gone home. On his desk, he found 𝗪𝗀's 2012 cold case file. It hadn't been there when his shift started, and he hadn't requested it from the basement. To reach that desk, the folder had to travel from the locked basement archives, past several security checkpoints, and onto the active duty floor. The officer first looked for a clerical explanation. He checked the system for a recent request or any sign that another detective had been reviewing the cold case. The precinct was empty. There were no checkout records, no active requests, and no other officers present who could have moved the file. An unauthorized actor had successfully penetrated the secure layers of the precinct, located a specific box in the basement, and delivered its contents to an active desk. This chart tracks the flow of evidence. We see the original 2012 inputs, followed by a total vacuum of data, and then a sudden spike in 2019. Inside the folder were freshly printed photographs that were never part of the original investigation. The images showed 𝗪𝗀 as she appeared in 2019. The subject of the file had aged 7 years, connecting the original disappearance directly to the present day. The evidence was being updated in real time. An entity with access to the subject was generating new data and inserting it into a locked police file. The folder had transitioned from a historical document into a collection of surveillance data. The mystery was no longer stagnant, it was actively producing new information. The investigation shifted focus from 𝗪𝗀 to the environment in the background of the 2019 photos. The officer zoomed in on the images, looking for street signs or unique architectural details that would reveal her current location. The background structures matched the exterior of the officer's own house. 𝗪𝗀 was standing on his lawn when the photos were taken. The anomaly had bypassed every boundary. It had moved from the public streets into the secure precinct and finally into the investigator's private personal sphere. By documenting the detective's residence, the subject had effectively turned the officer's own life into a primary site of the investigation. The observer was now part of the file. By the following morning, the file had vanished from the desk. The data had been erased, returning the timeline to its original 2012 state. No evidence of the photos or the physical breach remained. The anomaly had reset the boundaries of the unknown, leaving the department with no proof that the encounter ever happened. This interaction suggests the investigation was no longer a one-way street. The very act of a detective looking back into the case caused the mystery to respond. The horror of an unsolved case isn't just the lack of answers. It is the realization that the mystery might be entirely aware, watching the investigators, and capable of crossing any perimeter at will.